Hello youth, welcome back. Hope you all enjoyed your Easter Sunday. Today we're going to be talking about the message of Easter. And when we look at Easter in the proper light and we understand what really happened and what was going on and why we celebrate Easter, empty is a good thing. When Jesus was murdered and nailed to a cross, they buried him in a tomb, basically a cave, and rolled a huge heavy stone in the front of the tomb. Then 3 days later, something unbelievable happened. The tomb was empty. In Luke 24:1-8, it says this, but very early on Sunday morning, the woman went to the tomb taking the spices they had prepared. They found that the stone had been rolled away from the entrance. So they went in, but they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. As they stood there puzzled, two men suddenly appeared to them, clothed in dazzling robes. The women were terrified and bowed with their faces to the ground. Then the man asked, "Why are you looking among the dead for someone who is alive? He isn't here. He is risen from the dead. Remember what he told you back in Galilee, that the Son of Man must be betrayed into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and that he would rise again on the third day." Then they remembered that he had said this. Point number 2. So point number 1 was empty is good. Point number 2 is empty is proof. Now let's back up a minute. Let's look earlier during Jesus' ministry when he said he had to go through this to his disciples. In Mark 8:31, it says, "Then Jesus began to tell them that the Son of Man must suffer many terrible things and be rejected by the elders and the leading priests and the teachers of the religious law. He would be killed, but 3 days later he would rise from the dead." Proof: Jesus is who he says he is. Ever heard someone make a bunch of claims but couldn't back it up? Jesus didn't do that. We just read in Mark that Jesus said he would die and rise again after 3 days, and he backed it up. Now I can follow somebody who makes a claim as huge as this and then backs it up. It's true. Imagine somebody who already predicts the future. They already say, like, I'm gonna do this, become a billionaire, and I'm gonna do it this exact way, and they do it. Wouldn't you wanna know how he did it? Well, Jesus, he said that he was gonna die and he was gonna rebuild the temple in 3 days, and he resurrected 3 days later, and we come to figure out that Jesus wasn't talking about the temples, the physical temples, the buildings, but he was talking about his body. And point number 3 is empty is powerful. Jesus had his power over death because Jesus died and rose again. Because Jesus is who he says he is. Jesus has power of sin's greatest weapon, death. You know, for something to have life, something else has to die. Did anyone eat some fruit today? It had to be disconnected from its tree, its life source. It had to die to give you life. Jesus is the one who says, "I can give you life. I can make it so that you never really die. That even after life on earth is done with, you will live with me forever, because that is how much I love you." The empty tomb shows us that Jesus has power over death. He looked death straight in the eyes. He took death's best thing and overcame it. How amazing is that? That's crazy. Point number 4 is empty is permanent. You know, plenty of people visit Jerusalem every year. Plenty of people walk down some road that Jesus may have walked down. One of the places people love to visit is the place where historians believe Jesus was buried, and guess what? To this day, the tomb is still empty. In Romans 6-9, it says, we are sure of this because Christ was raised from the dead, and he will never die again. Death no longer has any power over him. Jesus wasn't in the tomb 3 days after he died. He isn't in the tomb today, and he never will be. Jesus is God and is alive forever. His body wasn't stolen. It was in the wrong tomb. It wasn't the wrong tomb, and it wasn't some magic trick. So when we look at the true meaning of Easter and everything Jesus did for us on the cross, empty is a good thing. Empty means Jesus is who he says he is. Empty means Jesus has power over death, and empty is permanent. Jesus is permanently alive, and death will never overcome him again. When we decide to follow him instead of following our own selfish desires, we can begin to really live. Amen, guys. So that was the kind of message for Easter today. It spoke about the resurrection. And the first point is empty is good. Empty is proof. Empty is powerful. Empty is permanent. So those 4 points, guys. And I really hope you all enjoyed your Easter. I know it was a little bit different this year, considering you can't have a big gathering of more than 10 people, or because of the coronavirus, the atmosphere might feel different. But this is still the day that Jesus resurrected, and it's still more impactful than it's ever been, because it's Jesus and he resurrected on this day, and we should be giving him thanks and just thanking him for all that he's done for us. So make sure y'all give thanks to the Lord, and I hope y'all enjoyed your Easter. And there was just a little lesson I had for y'all today. Enjoy.